how can the Rangers be so fun all season, but so dreadful, like painful to watch and listen to right now? Because you've seen them have so many leads that have evaporated. If they were just losing because of a variety of different things, even the runners in scoring position, like I can handle that or talk about that more, but they've had so many leads that they have squandered. It is truly astonishing. And for most of the year, as we've been talking about all year, this has been an awesome, most fun team we've seen in 6 years.
Sometimes, Corey, when things go bad, like you have a bad week, you start going, well, I know we're down by 3, but I just have to pitch Aroldis Chapman. I can't have him go 6 days without pitching if he's healthy. I just need to get him in a game. That hasn't been the case. In these 10 games, there's been opportunities in, I would say, half of them. I'm not going back exactly, but I would say in 5 out of your 10 games, one of them you did win. You won on Saturday. You were tied at 2, and in the 9th inning, you scored 4 runs. That was awesome. But the other 9 games, it felt like there were 4 or 5 other opportunities where you're pitching Will Smith, you're pitching Aroldis Chapman, you're pitching Stratton, you're pitching Spores, you're pitching what you consider somewhat your best guys in winning situations with about 12 or 9 outs to go. And you didn't get the job done in all of the games. So you're actually using your good pieces in the pen because there's opportunities to win these games with about 9 or less outs to go, but you are not getting the job done. I think that's what's frustrating in a way is you're like, I thought we were going to win an hour ago. I thought we were going to win when we got to the 7th inning. We had the opportunity to win last night going into the 9th inning. I thought the Rangers were going to win.
Yeah.
When he walked, I believe, Taylor on 4 straight pitches, Aroldis Chapman, I was like, oh, you're messing with fire here, but that's okay. It's Aroldis Chapman. We'll figure it out. And then he balked him to second by going, over for a third time. And I'm like, oh gosh. And then the hit happened. I'm like, it's kind of deserved. You walk the 9-hole hitter on 4 pitches. You're kind of asking for trouble in that situation. So there's just been, Corey, to me, multiple opportunities to win these games that the Rangers just haven't figured out how to win them.
Yeah, and Kevin, I think the other thing, I think the reason it feels this way right now too is because this is the time of season where, like, if Seattle was still way behind, you'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
But it's also that time of season now where it's starting to close down. You're like, is this what our team is? Like all season long, our team was fake. And we didn't see it all along, and we're like, no, like you knew you had one big problem, and now it's the problem that's facing you still as you're getting towards the end of the season. You knew your bullpen was the problem the whole time. It wasn't anything else that was the problem. Then you were kind of like, all right, are we on, good ground whenever if somebody gets injured, if Corey Seager gets injured, you're like, oh crap, we still went on a winning streak when Corey Seager got injured. Well, then Josh Young and Jonah Heim aren't the same. Josh Young's still out. It's like, okay, can we get that back? And then all those guys move back down in the lineup and you're healthy again and all that. But you don't know if that's enough to change what that one big thing is. And that is you can't trust any lead with this team. So even in every game, you're sitting there going, it's not real because I can't wait. I have to wait until the 8th and 9th inning to make sure that this thing is real or not in this game.
Kevin, before you move on, just throwing it back to you, is we all said in Oxnard around the trade deadline with 4 days left, they traded for Max Scherzer, and then they traded for Montgomery and Stratton, and we all 3 said, you have to go get at least one more bullpen piece that you feel better about in the 8th, 9th inning. You have to have somebody that joins the Will Smith, Aroldis Chapman group. And they decided whether they thought the price was too much. They liked nobody else on the market as a reliever. I don't know exactly why they didn't, but they decided that what they had was great enough to win a World Series in that pen. Because the reason I say win a World Series, you don't go trade for Max Scherzer and you don't go trade for Montgomery and Stratton. You don't trade for Aroldis Chapman if you don't believe that this team can win the whole thing.
Sure.
And so they felt like what they have in their bullpen right now is a world championship bullpen.
Now, I know you're familiar with this stat. I saw it from Evan Grant last night, and I know there's a lot of other issues that this team has with runners in scoring position and the middle of the lineup right now, but it's the 4th blown save in the last 6 games. Since the save became an official stat in 1969, 32 teams have had at least 20 saves in a year.
Name all of them.
I cannot.
All right.
32 teams have had at least 20 saves in a year with a save percentage of less than 50%.
Okay.
None of those teams won more than 70 games.
So we've already broken that trend, huh?
That is true, Corey, but I appreciate
Let's
your
be trend breakers.
optimism.
Balls
Knuckleballs,
on
baby.
that.
Let's
In your
go.
face, Kevin. You
Okay.
thought you were smooth? Well, there goes
We've
your
won
buddy.
73 games already, Kevin.
But the point is, you're right, but the point is every single one of those teams has been bad, and in
Right.
some cases, really, really bad. And the Rangers right now are sitting at 24 of 49 save attempts converted.
Yeah.
So 49%. I know you can't go 49 for 49, and some of those multiple save situations popped up in a game. But let's say you even flipped, 7 of those, then you're still sitting there with a commanding lead. But obviously that is not the world we live in.
Yeah. So I'm guessing none of those teams won the World Series then, Kevin?
That is fair.
All right. I mean, maybe. We don't know you don't know all the teams, so maybe you don't know. But
You know what? You got me there. I would be willing to wager a lot on that.
I agree with you that this has been a fun season to watch.
So much fun.
But this was a fun season to watch is not my consolation prize this year. I know going back to the beginning of the season, I was like, man, I got to see it to believe it. They showed it to me. So I believed that this team had it. I believe they still have the ability to get into the playoffs and go deep into the playoffs. I think they're a nightmare with a few of their starting pitchers. And Mike, if we figure out which one of those guys we can slide into the bullpen that could help out, if it's Gray or Evaldi or whatever. I know Evaldi's got a bullpen tomorrow, maybe.
Evan Grant did ask this weekend about Evaldi coming back as a
He's
pen
sore.
piece,
Yeah.
and they said no.
Okay. Well, whatever the role is, I don't want a consolation prize of it was a great season and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I want a consolation prize of we got playoff baseball this year and we got to watch them try to go kick ass. That's what I want this year.
I think it would be tough, too, going into next year. Now, there has to be major changes. I know we're talking about the pen. Aroldis Chapman's a free agent. Will Smith's a free agent. Stratton's a free agent. Like, your whole bullpen, pretty much, that you rely on, they're all free agents. But
you have a lot of your starting pitching coming back, though.
Yes, but if you don't make the playoffs, if you were to miss the playoffs, I don't know the momentum that you take into next year. I don't think it's you're coming into spring training furious and not happy
I agree.
about the way the year went. I don't think any of those players would be coming in going, man, that was a great year we had last year. Just missed out.
Now, there are I get that it revolves around the bullpen. Like, I'm not going to argue against that whatsoever. But there is a good article in the Dallas Morning News today from Grant and Sean McFarland talking about some of the other woes, like looking over the last 10 games compared to the rest of the season. Rangers have hit 159 with 2 outs.
Is that good?
No. That is third worst in Major League Baseball. And their on-base percentage in that situation of .237 is fourth worst. Compare that to before. It was probably unsustainable. They were hitting .261 with 2 outs. That was better than any team in baseball. But that is a shocking drop right there. I'm not saying that they weren't always destined to, like, come back to the pack somewhat. I didn't think they would come back to the pack by going from the best to absolutely one of the worst to try to kind of fit closer towards. Yeah. And I know that's in a shorter sample size of 10 games, but this is a 1-9 run for the Rangers that has turned a 7-game lead over the Mariners into, like you said, a 1-game deficit. And you've also run into problems with the starting pitching. Their walks have spiked almost twice as much as they had been. You've got problems in the middle of the lineup where their averages, both on base and batting, have hit the skid. So there's plenty of blame to go around. I certainly understand that the bullpen leads that charge by a lot.
But we said before, Corey, at least I said, at the All-Star break, if they're going to make the playoffs, it's because of the hitting. A week ago, I said I'm not changing my mind. This all relies on the hitting because the hitting has to carry the bullpen.
Somebody asked this question, and I don't know, Mike, how you
They
feel
want
about
Martin
this.
Perez to close games still
no,
like they did on
no.
Friday.
From the 817, why are we not talking about Maddox not being able to fix the bullpen? We give him a lot of credit with the starters, but why do we not hold him accountable for the bullpen?
I've said this before. Please listen. Please pass this on to not only yourself, but all the people that you like watching baseball with. A pitching coach has very little to do with bullpen pieces. They don't throw bullpens in between games because tonight, even though you used, I think, 7 bullpen guys, they can't practice their pitching today. I can't practice my pitching tomorrow. The guys that have bullpen sessions and that you can really change some things in between appearances are the starting pitchers. Once the season starts, this is why bullpens are so fickle and so tough to kind of, when they go bad, sometimes they can go bad for a while.
Rotten.
There's no practice. You just have to keep going. You got
to do it live. Wow.
And so Mike Maddox can't really do much. Pitching coaches aren't able to really correct bullpen situations. They can try to help. I mean, I'm not saying there's nothing there, but your pitching coach, way more. I mean, 90% of his job is the starting pitchers. And then the bullpen coach. The bullpen coach is answering the phone and charting things. He's not. Now, things can change a little bit. They probably have a little bit more responsibility than back in the day when I was playing. But, like, literally, when you're a bullpen guy, you just have to get it right on the fly. There is no practice during a season as a bullpen guy, unless you go on the injured list.
Yeah. And I do. So it's more about the physical. So you think Maddox is giving them the right plan, giving them the right, hey, you guys, here's what you need to do in this moment.
He did not tell Jonathan Hernandez to throw 4 straight balls to end the game yesterday.
It's the physical, the physical and mental part of it too. Like the mental part of, like, if I miss close, it's going to go over the fence, and I can't do that.
The
so
other
I have
thing too
to.
is if you're a football person, just so you understand this, or you played high school baseball and you never called a pitch. I get it, because most high schools, the coach calls the pitch from the dugout, then relays it to the catcher. Catcher relays it to the pitcher. In Major League Baseball, 100% of the pitches are called by the catcher. I'll give it 99%. Maybe every once in a while on a blue moon, there's a whistle and the catcher looks over and Maddox might say, give him, like, I really want a fastball up here. But for the most part, it is the catcher who's calling all the pitches, and then it's the pitcher's job to just either go with it or shake off and go, I don't want it. That's why they don't pull catchers in the middle of the game going, you're calling a horse-ass game. It's not the pitcher's fault. It's always the pitcher's fault. So the pitcher does have to take responsibility for the pitch selection, but that's what makes it tough. Is sometimes you might think, well, Mike Maddox is Mike McCarthy or Kellen Moore. He's not calling the pitches in the game. He gives them a game plan, then it is up to the catcher and the pitcher to feel the game out.
And then it's up to him to kind of watch them and watch their mechanics and say, hey, you only have 5 times you can go to the mound too. And then, because that was the weird thing, I had the game on mute. When he wanted to go out and talk to Aroldis Chapman and then wasn't allowed to, he had Raul with him. Were you watching the game at this point?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you weren't watching, I was watching, but I didn't have the volume up, so I don't know what Dave Raymond was saying, but it was like they wanted to go talk to Aroldis Chapman, and then the umpires let them know, like, you can't go talk to Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah, I remember I had Adrian on FaceTime during that, so I too was watching and couldn't hear it at the same time.
Now, something astonishing that shows how good this Rangers team has been all season and how disappointing this fall has been. Did you know yesterday was just the second day all season they haven't been in first place? Yesterday and April 8th. So obviously you go back to April 8th. We're at the very
What
very
happened on
beginning.
What happened on that day that changed everything?
People love a comeback, though.
Yeah,
That's true.
everybody loves an underdog story, Kevin. Nobody likes the guy.
So
that's
now
in
we're
front.
the underdog. We're playing the underdog.
Okay.
role.
It would be, that you're trying to track down Seattle. It feels like we would be more of a pronounced underdog if you were trying to track down Houston. But I'm with you, and I am very, very hopeful that starting tonight they'll pile up wins.
I know we got to go, but it's amazing to me when you give that stat that Evan Grant gave. The Rangers only have 24 saves.
Yeah.
They have 73 wins. Think about how good the offense has been. I'm just looking at save leaders in Major League Baseball. Kyle Finnegan, who pitches for the Washington Nationals, who aren't a very good team, he has 24 saves on his own. And the Rangers only have 24 saves all year. It shows that almost 50 of their wins are by 4 runs or more.
Yeah.
And that's why this team has been carried by the offense. And if the offense, I hate saying this, it's not fair. I want to say it's not fair. Score 10 runs a game.
Do it.
Great.
Neftali Fleas had 41 saves, Kevin, the first year we went to the World
You could
Series.
theoretically get 17 more saves in the regular season.
It's just one of these. I hate to say it's not fair to the offense, but put your pitchers in a situation where there's not save opportunities.